Lundon Calling, show number 16 of the London Bridge Talk Show, where we bridge the gaps of 3 generations of Gabby gays. Okay, thank you for listening, folks. Bridging those generation gaps are your hosts, Sean Chandler, Donny Winter, and myself, Ace Lundon. As the elder at age 80, I shall moderate the show with Sean at age 50 over the hill and Donny at age 25. I call him the creeper-upper. Let's see how the generations think, because I think that we think differently in many things. Welcome to the show. Please fasten your seatbelts. No topic is taboo, and we warn you in advance that we have a potty mouth, all of us, actually. There is so much good in the worst of us, folks, and so much bad in the best of us. It is hard to tell which of us ought to reform the rest of us. And this has nothing to do with politics today, because there would be too much reforming going on. Oh, dear. So it has been a hot time in the old town here where I am. The weather this year has been really kind of crazy, but we're coping with it. We're in the 110 plus degree days recently, and everybody says, oh, that's terrible. Well, actually, it's not bad once you're here and you get used to it. I here cold is 60 degrees. That is cold. Holy crap. So we're used to it. But I don't know where you are, but I hope you're having decent weather, because there is so much bad weather. And I saw that another, hurricane had kind of swiped the East Coast again. I'd rather live in this heat than hurricane weather or tornadoes. I don't know about you folks, but you are where you are. And for those listeners from around the world, who knows what kind of weather you're having, because the weather around the world is as crazy as it is here in the United States. Oh, dear. So, guys, how are you doing?
Groovy.
Oh, that's a
peachy keen.
They're both interesting words, aren't they? So, how many new yous do you think are going to end up being in your lifetime before you die? Now, Sean and I have talked about this because it deals with the various bridges of our life. We go through phases, and each phase is a totally new experience, basically. So how many phases? I think I've counted, I think I counted 9 when I was thinking about this earlier. 9 phases of it. So I have been, so far at age 80, I have been, although I've been the same basic person, I have had a new persona in each phase of my life. Oh, talk about the way we go through things. But these phases come about, and so think about it, and maybe you'll be able to name the phases or the bridges that you're crossing, because something will happen in your life, and boom, there you are in a whole new phase. For instance, I could say this. It's easy for the first phase that we've all been in our first phase, and I call that our life and time in the nest. And we leave that at a certain time. And do you know that when you leave your home nest, you're going to become a new, different person? You cannot help it. If you're anything at all, wishing anything, you'll become a new person. Now, that's one phase there. Anyway, guys, I don't like to trick you. Yes, I do. But I did trick you today, because we have a guest that I wanted you guys to be surprised with. I love it. My daughter tells me I've still got the kid in me. I guess so. Anyway, I have known our guest for since I moved here to this area. When I move, I like to get acquainted with anything that has to do with our gay community. And I searched for anything here, bars and such. There's not much going on. But there was a PFLAG chapter that I heard of down in Lake Havasu, which is to the south of us here. And I went down there and I met this woman at that time when I first moved here. And I met her and her daughter at the PFLAG thing. I said to myself back then, I want this woman to be a friend in my life. So she'll have to watch me die. and we have become friends over the last 9 years now. I can't believe it's gone by so fast. Mother of 3, happy. I see her husband is happy, so she must be doing something right. And yet now I look at her and I say, I see her, and that little 14-year-old girl that I first met is now a very handsome young man. Yeah, okay, guys. We said we needed to talk more about this whole T thing in the LGBT, and this is the woman who has been an advocate, pioneer advocate for the whole T world. Her name is Kim Pearson. Kim, meet Sean and meet Donny.
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hi. Welcome.
Great. How are you?
Were you truthfully surprised, or did you have a hunch that he was up to something?
I've already sent you a friend request on Facebook. I see you're the grandmother of 6.
I am.
You live in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. You're from Pomona, California.
Right.
Ace thinks he's so clever. We're old friends.
Okay, I
Yes, Donny?
Hello?
I was surprised.
You were, okay.
You were surprised?
Yes, I was surprised.
I'm always surprised at the things that Ace does. What can I say?
So, Kim, now that they know that your daughter, is she the youngest in your
My
tribe?
youngest child, correct.
Okay.
My youngest child.
Okay. So here it is 10 years later about, and she is goodness sake, she's got to be in her 20s now. And she's not.
Yes.
And she's a he.
He is 20. Oh, I lose track. 23.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to say 23 and hope I don't get corrected later.
I tell you, Kim, I'd date him. He's turned out to be a very handsome young man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is. He is a very handsome young man. And you're not the only one who thinks so.
I know, I'm sure of that. And I am so proud of him because I don't know yet what he's gone through trans-wise. I'm of the opinion that LGBT, we should be LGB and the T should be separate. But that's just my thoughts. I think the transgender whole situation is so unique and so different from anything that the LGB might have gone through or is going through or whatever, is so different that they need to congregate with just the T. I don't know, but that's just me. I don't.
Do you want me to weigh in on that?
Yes.
Oh, you do? You sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
I disagree. At least to a certain extent. I think the T is above and beyond the experience of the LGB. But I think most LGB people experience a good portion of the kind of gender stereotype discrimination that transgender people do. And I think that's the common ground. I think the common ground is that you have LGBT people who break gender stereotypes to some degree or another, or do not fit in the box that people want them to fit in. And that's where the T falls in with the LG and the B. And then beyond that, they have definitely other challenges that aren't necessarily easily related to.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
When did Dedrick finally tell you what was going on with him?
When pretty much as soon as he understood it himself. I mean, we had the coming out as a lesbian, and then we had the coming out as bisexual, and then we had the coming out as pansexual, I think, or maybe it was trans first and then pansexual. I don't know. We had a lot of coming outs.
Yeah.
So I kind of lose track of it sometimes. We had a while there in his very early 20s where I said, "What? No more coming out?" I mean, like, come on, like this is getting kind of boring, you know. But yeah, it's very boring now. No coming out, no, you know, nothing too much different anymore. But yeah, he was 14. And we had met you, and you know, there was a lot of support for being lesbian, you know, and no family shunning or, you know, anything like that. Mm-hmm. And the problems didn't end. In other words, he had been depressed. He came out. He got happier. And then he went right back to being depressed and anxious and all of these things again. And we really couldn't figure out what was going on. And so we did the counseling thing. And as it would turn out, the icebreaker for the whole kit and caboodle was seeing the movie Transamerica together, he and I.
Wow.
And
I haven't seen that, Kim. Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I haven't seen it.
That's a classic. It's a classic.
I have.
Yeah. He just, you know, he looked at that and a light switch kind of went off in his head. And, you know, and he's like, well, if a man can become a woman, can a woman become a man? And he started to research that and realized that was why he was so unhappy, is because he felt like a man. He didn't feel like a lesbian. He felt like a man. Mm-hmm. And that's why the lesbian label wasn't making him more comfortable or feel better or take care of his depression or his anxiousness and that sort of thing. Yeah. And so it was, I think 2 weeks to the day from him seeing the movie that we went to a counseling session, and he just said, okay, here's the deal. I'm not a lesbian. I'm a dude. I'm a guy, you know? And I'm like, well, what do you know?
Yeah. I tell you.
It really made sense, though. I mean, I wasn't one of those moms that went through a lot of angst about it. It was just like, wow, if you put that in the context of who you've been for the last 14 years, that sure answers a lot of questions.
And how did John and your other two kids accept and go with everything or whatever?
My daughter sort of reacted like I did with the, oh my gosh, that kind of makes sense. How did we miss that? You know, that really sort of fits. The middle kid, he didn't have a hard time accepting it, but he's very, I don't know how to say it. He's kind of a creature of habit. So he had a little difficulty breaking some of his habits, like with the name, you know, using the birth name and that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then, but he got past it. He was fine. But, you know, all of my kids are flaming crazy liberal people. So, you know, you gotta, I'm not sure how that happened. I can't imagine what the influence was in their lives, you know, that caused that. But at any rate, they did really well. My husband had a hard time at first. He came around, but at first he really had a hard time. He didn't understand it. He didn't even know if it was real. He was scared for his child. He didn't know what it meant. He didn't know what it meant about him as a parent, if he'd done something wrong. He just had to really run the whole gamut of, kind of soul searching and thinking and researching and all kinds of things. And, and eventually he got there. He was just much slower about it than the rest of us. It was tough.
Yeah. For families, I can imagine. The whole concept of a man in a female body or a female in a man's body, that is totally acceptable to me because of my philosophy. I'm sure in my mind that I am a soul. That's what I'm really called. I'm a soul. I'm an eternal soul. And I have the ability to experience many bodies throughout my career as a soul. Yeah. So I could be female in one lifetime and male in the next lifetime, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can understand him being in a female body, and all of a sudden it really dawns on him that this is not my body. I should.
It doesn't fit.
Yeah, I should have. Now, to go from that into the next steps and such, you are in a whole new phase in your life, no matter what anyone says. And it's the same for coming out of the closet. You go into it. You go into a whole new phase of life. It's all of a sudden you have a freedom that you never had in your last phase, and things like this. So we grow. Oh my God, we grow and we don't stop. I'm wondering what my last phase is going to be and saying, I'm going through enough. My God. but I'm sure at age 80, it could be easily possible that in the next X number of years, before I kick the bucket, I could actually go through a whole new thing in my life that I never anticipated to even appear, It's possible.
Well, my kids have stretched me in ways I never believed possible. So there you go.
Kids will do that, especially Sean. Especially Sean. Oh my God.
Yeah. He definitely. I think it was probably the greatest learning experience for us as a family, the siblings and the parents and the extended family, and, really knowing who the people are in your life that you can count on, really knowing what people are made of, understanding how incredibly horrible people can really be. I think that people think I'm a Pollyanna now, which is, I think, kind of funny because I'm pretty far removed from that, but I'm a fairly positive person. But at that time, I don't think I had any idea how ugly people could be. I mean, how just truly, I can remember one time being in Colorado in a room full of people talking about a transgender 7-year-old girl and realizing that what I was seeing and what I was hearing was probably very akin to what happened before a lynch mob. It was the buildup going in that direction.
Wow. And
it was terrifying. And it was, I felt afterwards like I wanted to, take 12 showers or something to get the grossness off of me for how horrible people had been. It was like that they forgot that this 7-year-old was a human being who had parents who were human beings and that sort of thing. And I had never experienced anything like that before. Not to that degree, not to the degree of ugly that was.
I know a number of our listeners, either because I communicate with them on the net or because I communicate by phone and things like this. And I know that there are a number of the listeners today that are going to say, there really is hope for me and with my crazy family, that maybe my family will finally get a chance to, we'll be able to sit down and actually talk and discuss things, and my life will be changed forever, because they'll either have to kick me out and if that happens, it happens, or I'm going to become a very much stronger person. And so I'm saying this show is good for those that are listening and in that position, and I know a number of them.
Well, I think every time I've ever done a show, ever done a TV program, ever done a radio interview, ever written an article, the only reason for parents to do these sort of things are try to make a difference in the lives of other people and their children. You know what I mean? It doesn't get you anything. Usually what happens for your time in trouble of exposing yourself and your family, you get kicked in the teeth. Mm-hmm. But you also find out that you had an incredible impact on other people that aren't on the far right of this issue. And you know that you saved lives. And that's what makes the difference, because otherwise no one would ever do it, because it's really horrible. You open yourself up to just absolutely horrendous comments and feedback and pushback and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But, I've been at it for almost 10 years. So yeah. I don't take much of it to heart anymore.
The life of an activist, yes. Donny.
You can say anything you want to me anymore. Ask me anything. Nothing really gets me upset anymore. All my upset has been used up.
I got a question coming up for you then. Okay. Donny, did you have anything you wanted to say? Because I see your little light going on.
Oh, with regard to the whole transgender being a part of the LGB, or
what questions do you have in your mind that you would maybe like to have some light on?
I don't
know about you, Donny. I don't know for sure about Sean either, but it's not an easy thing to wrap your mind around, this whole transgender thing, whether you're gay or straight or who knows what. It is a difficult thing to wrap your mind around when you really stop to think of it. And we have to work our way through it, as I have done. Go ahead, Donny.
Well, Kim, when you were mentioning the similar gender stereotype difficulties that we go through as also gay people, bisexual, lesbian, and transgender people, I connected with that a lot because over the past year, I've kind of been doing research on the gender queer portion of the LGBT. I also include the Q on it.
Right.
And to me, it's not necessarily, the Q at least, is not necessarily just gender identity, but it also includes the socially constructed idea of gender. And I've discovered myself that I don't necessarily fit into what culturally we define as male and what we culturally define as female. I'm in this nebulous center that is it's quite difficult. And I feel to a certain degree, transgender people, or if not more, go through this as well. And I think it's even more difficult for them because they aren't necessarily in that middle, though. They are the opposite, and they want to be that opposite, but physically they aren't. So I just thought I thought about bringing that into the discussion too, the whole idea of gender queerness.
Well, I think that there is so much latitude in what you're pointing out there that, because it's not really true when I said Sean quit coming out. Now that I think about it, and if you notice, Ace and I may go back and forth between calling him Sean and Diedrich because he goes by both, and so but he did kind of keep coming out because he squarely lands in the queer zone right now, where in the beginning he was very anti all things feminine, to be recognized as his masculine self. I think he went way, way to one side of the pendulum. You know what I mean? And then I think he started to swing back some. And now he's swung back a lot, where he doesn't really care. He definitely is still male. There's no two ways about that. He is definitely still male, but his friends tend to be more in that queer kind of zone where, some of them don't care if they're acknowledged as male or female, or they use gender neutral pronouns, and they all recognize each other for these kind of different spaces, gender wise, and even sexuality wise, that they're all in. And so, there was some coming out around that, because, he kind of started out as a straight male, on this journey. And now he's more of a queer male, and he's just kind of all over the place, and we're okay with that. It was an adjustment, but we're okay with that. He's a really cool kid. I mean, anybody who ever meets him says, wow, that Sean, he's a great guy. He's a really cool kid. And as as I like to think all of my kids are, right? And I'm not prejudiced. But yeah, there's a whole lot there. And I think if we didn't have such strict, gender roles and guidelines and expectations and all of that, I really wonder where a lot of people might land. We might land someplace very differently than we do. I don't think we question it. I never questioned it. Well, I can't really say that, because I had some problems. I was a little too, I was told I was a little too masculine acting. I wasn't ladylike enough.
Oh, you and Rodham Clinton. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm kind of bossy, and I'm kind of outspoken, and I kind of tell people what I think. And, it doesn't endear you to people as a woman to, wear the pants too much, as they say. And I do. And thank goodness I'm married to somebody who could care less.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of latitude in there. And I think that, my prediction is, as we go forward, we're going to see more people, being more comfortable breaking boundaries here, there, and everywhere. Not necessarily that they're transgender, but I think we're going to see more people who cannot be put in box A or box B at all.
See, I like that idea. I think it's necessary. Sean, what's on your mind?
Well, it's funny, because I had pulled an article for our last show, and even the gay community is a little bit up in arms about people in the gay communities sort of assigning roles to the different sexual genders. And they,
my God, don't even get me started.
Well, no, they've given this phenomenon a name. It's called homonormativity. And what homonormativity is a set of rules you use to decide which people in the queer community are best. Now, this is just off of an op-ed from Pride.com. And homonormativity dictates that men should be muscular and masculine, while women should be slender and feminine, i.e. butch and lipstick. It encourages sexual mimicking, wherein queer people get married, adopt children, attend church every weekend, and live in a suburban neighborhood with a white picket fence. So even the people in the gay community are saying, hey, this is, there is a blurring, if you will, and just let people be what they want to be and feel what they want to feel and accept that. I mean, we always just want to put labels and boxes and all of that. And I think that's just to make ourselves, it makes certain people feel better when they can identify, like, oh, that person is A, B, or C, rather than just go, that is a person.
Right. Yeah, it is. I mean,
community.
It's a comfort zone thing. And I think we get a lot of, I sometimes talk to people about it, and I question them when we're having these conversations. I do a lot of one-on-one conversations with people now. And, part of what we talk about is, well, why do you think you feel that way about that? Well, why is that important? Because I'll say such and such is important. Why? Why is it? Well, because it just is, and then they hear themselves and they're like, oh, that sounded kind of stupid because it just is, it's because it's the way it's always been. I love that one. It's the way it is. It's, ordained by God or whatever. But yeah, it's the rules. Who makes up these rules? Who enforces them? Why do they enforce them? And I just think we're going to see these rules broken down more and more and more and more and more as these conversations are had and as people start to question themselves.
Yeah, Donny does quite a few videos on his YouTube channel about about masculinity and femininity and people just, assigning concrete labels.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
No, I was just going to say it doesn't make sense to me anymore. I'm not sure if it really ever did because Sean pushed us from day one. He was not, we had a daughter and we had a son and then we had Sean, if you get my meaning. The kid never fit in the box,
Yeah.
So he introduced us to flexibility when he was 2 or 3 years old. Lots and lots of flexibility. And I just think people are better for flexibility.
By the way, I think he looks more like a Dedrick than a Sean.
You do?
The head Dedrick is so butch.
I guess.
And there goes Ace doing it.
Well,
before we go any further, I think we should take a break and do some advertisements really quick.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's give a big thank you to our sponsors. First off, we'd like to thank an awesome community run by our brilliant engineer, miraculous Mike Means, and his lovely wife, our girl Juanita, for their great stage and theatrical design, also jewelry design, audio, and video editing. Please visit their website at eclectic-resources.net. Next, and equally as fabulous, let's thank our friends at Diversity Rules Magazine, a wonderful LGBT-focused online magazine that can be found at diversityrulesmagazine.com. And they are now available as an app on our smartphones. So definitely check that out. And we are thrilled to now be featured on Next Big Thing Radio, a terrific podcasting website, which features funny and informative shows from our fellow podcasters. The URL to the site is nextbigthingradio.net, and they also have an app for the smartphone. If you'd like to learn more about Ace, you can visit his blog at Scattered Thoughts. Well, it's titled Scattered Thoughts from a Scrambled Brain, and he basically discusses funny and philosophic topics ranging widely, and you can find it at acelundon.wordpress.com. If you enjoy watching YouTube videos, you're more than welcome to check out my own YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/Donny Winter. I discuss a whole slew full of different things with regard to the LGBTQ community. To learn more about Sean Chandler, you can visit his writer's website at www.seanwchandler.com or follow him on Twitter at Sean@TheFlash. And of course, visit the new Lundon Calling London Bridge website for posted shows and updates at lundon-calling.com, and also like our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/LondonBridge. All right, back at you.
Very well done, Donny. Thank you.
Can I add in a few things, guys?
What?
Can I add in a few things?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Okay. If you're going to be in Vermont, in Randolph, Vermont, on July 23rd, please come and see mine and my husband's play at the Flash. And we're going to be performing it one night only there, or he's going to be performing it. We both wrote it. He performs it at the It's Vermont Pride Theater at Chandler. That's the name of the theater. It's no relation to me. At 7:30, and also they're going to be doing a couple. They're going to be doing our one-man show, another one-man show, and then 2 other shows. One of those shows is a show about the transgendered community called Raggedy and A&D that we saw in Chicago, and it's terrific. It's interesting. We're discussing that. Yeah, I'm actually friends with one of the actresses who was in it. A wonderful lady. And also, one more thing, At the Flash was accepted into the New York Fringe Festival, New York Fringe Theater Festival, the 20th anniversary. This year, I don't have dates, but it's the last 2 weeks of August. And you can follow us and keep up with us at www.attheflash.com, which you can connect to off of my Facebook page. Our play has been performed in Chicago, LA, Dublin, Philadelphia, and then now New York. So it's an award-winning play and about 5 decades in a gay bar. There you go. That's all. Thank you.
Wow.
Congratulations, John.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Now,
Thank you.
Sean and I both have a number of friends who are transgender. I don't know if you do, Donny.
I do.
You do have a number, okay. As we have watched this whole thing happen in my lifetime, I can't remember how old I was, but I was married, so I was probably in my 30s, and I went to a Beverly Hills party. One of those parties, I hated them, but we had to go to them because that's how the business works. It's like going to the golf club, Anyway, while at the party, the host says, Ace, come, I want you to meet a special person. And I get over there, and he says, Christine, this is Ace Lundon. Ace Lundon, this is Christine Jorgensen. And I said, hello. And it never even dawned on me at that moment. But then I'm looking at her and saying, this woman has got to be one of the ugliest women. Her face looks like a man's, and such. And then I find out afterwards that I had heard about her on the news and it never dawned on me. But I got a chance to meet her. And that was my beginning with a transgender person. Over the years, I have been surprised by a number of things. The number of transgender models in the modeling world. I've been shocked to find out that some of those most beautiful in the world models are actually transgenders. And that's a big step. So we're living in a very interesting time this last half a century. And I do have a lot of questions in my mind still, even after half a century.
That's just the way you roll.
I know. I can't keep. As we were talking, we have to dare to be different. We have to dare to do things that are uncomfortable for us and things like this. That's how we grow. That's how we get into new phases. I think maybe I've got so many phases because I was stupid and not afraid to step into something. But.
Yeah, you step into things all the time, honey.
I know I do. Over the years, just these few years that you've known me, oh my God.
Often on the air, Kim, often.
Yes, I know.
Okay,
you got to watch him.
I've got a question in my mind. And the only way I can do it is to absolutely admit in public that I watch pornography. Okay, folks, get over it. When you're 80 years old, tell me that you won't be watching pornography. There's not much else we can do when we're this age,
What's that? I'm kidding.
Yeah, what's that? I watch pornography. And I have noticed in the, do I call it the porno world, I guess, yeah, that so many of the shows feature 2 or more people. One will be usually a male, straight, supposedly, and the other is a female with a cock and balls. And I'm saying, there is something wrong with this picture. Am I to believe that female in this porno film is a transgender and maybe needing to pay for things so she does porno? Or is it that she is not transgender? Basically, maybe what she really is a gay man who likes to do drag and is super horny. Any comment? Sean, you want to start? And then Kim, and then Donny.
Well, sometimes I just put my face in my hands. I think that trans people, now I'm obviously I am not transgendered, but it seems like it's a little more internal. It's a way of feeling inside, and I think that the sex organs. I'm taking it out of the porno world here, only because I just don't know the reasons why people make porn. I mean, it could be money, it could be I don't know what, but
Sean, I mean, these females in these porn films, they're beautiful women faces. They've got tits, and then they've got a cock and ball.
Well, clearly it is a man who it was previously a person who had male genitalia, who I would assume internally feels like they are female, and has gotten the top surgery done and is either waiting for or is okay with having. I mean, it's just genitalia. There's a stimulation process that goes along with it. I mean, it could, and think of it this way, guy on guy, girl on girl. I mean, you're essentially just stimulating that person to a sexual orgasm in a lot of different ways. So maybe that I don't know. And this is where we sort of like wonder, why is a transgendered person gay? And is that decided as to whether or not they want to sleep with or have sex with a person of the same sex which they identify with, or the opposite sex? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's complicated for those of us who don't feel that way to understand and have empathy.
Okay, yeah, Kim, what do you say?
I don't know jack about porn. Okay.
Oh, sure. I've heard that one before.
I don't. And I've never seen such things as you're describing. I am, you don't want to go blind. Good. I'm a good girl. I confine it to my bedroom. Well, almost always. Anyway, I don't know. And, it's like whatever works for you. I'm good with that. If you're happy, and you're finding fulfillment, and however you go about doing that, and you can find people who like to do that with you, hallelujah. That's all that really matters. And I don't really care how other people do it. I have never asked my son how he does it. And I've never asked my other son, and I've never asked my daughter. None of my damn business.
You're a good mom. You're a good mom.
Well, and they tell me I overshare because, I give too much information about what I do.
That's okay.
No, I just admitted once to wanting to do it with my husband in my daughter's living room when everyone was home.
That's always fun.
Apparently, as a parent, you're not supposed to do that. Okay? Yeah. That's what I was told.
I'll never forget the first time in the back seat of a car. There are memories.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And I don't know what makes people sexually attracted to other people. I know what my attraction is like. I'm probably 90% heterosexual and 10% not. I've never, really explored that 10%, but I'm definitely aware of it, because I've been married frickin' forever,
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that crazily believes in that whole monogamy thing. I'm not sure why, but I do.
Me too.
Right. And so, yeah. And I don't know what makes those things work, but I think if a person finds something that works for them and they're with a person or other people and it works for them and it's not to the detriment of anybody, stay the hell out of their way.
Uh-huh. Donny,
What's
what
the
do you
big
think?
deal?
What do you think, Donny?
Well, a long time ago, I used to kind of have a difficult time wrapping my head around what motivates these types of attractions, and I slowly, as I started doing research and started, understanding my own gender queerness, I realized that we always strive to separate gender identity and sexual identity, and I think that they are more fluid and they cross in more areas than we tend to acknowledge. And while I have never been exposed to this type of porn that you were talking about, Ace, I can make the argument that these are examples of individuals who their gender identity and their sexual identity cross in more areas than, say, like a person like myself. Like Kim, you were mentioning that you are 90% heterosexual and there's a 10% that's still out there that you haven't explored. I can firmly say that I am 100% homosexual because I have explored other ventures before. and I think that sexuality and gender identity is more concrete for some people and less and more fluid, I guess I would say, for other people.
Yeah,
that's my take on it, though.
I would, and I would agree with that. I would also say, though, that I think that sometimes what we see or what is presented to us is not necessarily the way a person would want it to be for them. Mm-hmm. If they could have, if they could have anything that they wanted. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I know trans women who would like to date men who don't because they're afraid to.
I can understand.
You know what I mean?
I can understand, yes.
I think that doesn't happen for various reasons, not because the person doesn't want to. It's like in my situation, I'm 90-10. I've never explored the 10. Time has never been right. Circumstances have never presented themselves, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But what if I was 50-50 and I still hadn't explored it because, it hadn't worked out that way for me. And I think sometimes people are in relationships or in situations, in jobs, Ace, yes. that you had to bring up, that they're there for whatever reason they have to be, not necessarily because that's where they want to be. Or maybe they do want to be there. Maybe that is really their thing and they're really into it. And it's okay. It's really, truly okay. It doesn't have to be okay with us. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to like it. We don't have to. It's their thing. It doesn't affect us. Why do we get so, nutted up about it?
Well, we all try to find our way in this crazy thing called life. And I am very curious. I'm not bi-curious. I'm just plain curious. But at one point in my life, after my divorce, I was saying to myself one day, I said, okay, I've done a hell of a lot of things so far in life. Good Lord. What haven't I done? And I said, well, I haven't been in a porn movie. Maybe I'll do that.
No, you did not.
So I contacted a producer of porn, a legitimate porn, and I said, okay, tell me all about it because I need to know what I'm getting into. So It was a mixed, it was straight porn, and I was the only white boy in it. All the rest were Asian, and I drew up the contract, believe me, so that it could never be shown here in the United States. But as far as I know, it hasn't been. But that's been many, many years ago. And I found out in that doing that, for me, I realized for sure that I was not straight in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that turned me on in the straight porn thing was the men, not the women, and there were plenty of beautiful women. And I said to myself afterwards, I said, okay, now I know that much more about me. So now I have to just accept the fact that I am definitely queer. No doubt about it.
Some extreme lengths, Ace.
What?
To prove to your hey, God.
What's extreme?
Damn.
Person may
You married a woman. You were married to her for how long? And then you had to go into a straight porn movie. Wow.
It took you a lot of convincing, Ace.
Yeah.
Well, in that time, maybe it was the time, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
No, you're an immersion kind of guy. You have to immerse yourself in things to feel, really confident in the direction that you're going, right?
And that's why
Yes.
And that's why I'm so damn confident with myself, I think, because I really have given myself some studies over the years. Even the religious thing, I learned so much in that time that I was in my religious phase. Now, if people knew me then and know me now, they can't believe that I'm the same person. You're not like the reverend that we knew. Of course I'm not like, because I'm not the reverend anymore. I am done with that phase. We go through these things, but it takes me...
Chameleon, honey.
Yeah, it does take me a little time, maybe, because I'm also a firm believer that, let's say you're going to get engaged to get married. I'm a firm believer that it is best that you know the person for at least 3 years, because psychologically speaking, it takes approximately 3 years for any good psychologist to actually get to know his client or her client and be able to help them. 3 years. So after 3 years, okay, go ahead and get married. By then you should know, and especially if you better have slept with them in that 3-year period to find out what they're like. Otherwise, by the time the marriage rolls around and you're both virgins, oh Lord help you. No, it's I think
Yes.
yes, you were okay. Long
Just so everyone knows, listening to the show, our producer's asking us if we're going to go an extra half an hour, which I think we would like to, because this is very, very fascinating having Kim on.
You don't think I giggle too much?
I have questions, honestly, about the media.
Oh, they're lovely.
Well, not just the media, but also movies and TV series. Like you mentioned, Transamerica. I love that movie. And I personally think that Felicity Huffman was robbed of the Academy Award for that.
Did a good job. Yeah.
The movie. That's the movie. I saw clips of it. Yeah, that really looked good. I didn't see it, but it looked good.
Yeah. I love Reese, but I, in no way, shape, or form was Walk the Line better than what Felicity Huffman did. Nevertheless, I want to know, with Felicity Huffman playing that role and now in Transparent, which I would assume you've seen.
Yes.
Okay. How does your son feel about straight, I want to say cis actors portraying
trans characters? Yeah, I think everybody has a different take on that. I think I think there's so many different ways that you can look at it. Number one is, God, it's just important to get the story told, and do whatever we have to do to get the story told. And then when you get a few of those under your belt, because I went through this, we're going back to 2006 when I started the work. And at first it was just get anybody to talk to you about it. And then after you do that for a while, you want to up the ante, and then you want to up it some more as you go, as it develops, as it gets better, as you do the Dr. Oz show and millions of people watch. And as you do Katie Couric and millions of people watch, you want to keep upping the ante. You want to get more bang for your buck. You want it to be more real. You want it to be more believable. You want it to be more accurate. All these kinds of things. And I think that's just natural. So everyone, well, I hate those words like that, everyone. I think people have their different feelings and their different levels of feeling about whether those characters should be played by trans individuals or non-trans individuals. And so, if you ask 103 different people, you'd get 103 different answers. I think a well-acted show is really important. I think you don't want some amateur in there that can't do the role justice. I don't think that's going to help us.
Kim, I think there are actors that are straight that can act the persona of a gay person better than many gays who are actors. It's like you just don't look at Cary Grant and say, "Oh, he was so gay." No. I don't. He could. There are.
I don't think it's a prerequisite, but I do think that just as you have been saying over and over, Ace,
yes,
that it's been a difficult learning curve for you. And I think that is probably true of a lot of the actors. It's a difficult learning curve. There's a lot to understand. There are a lot of emotions. There are a lot of conflicting emotions that, usually an actor draws off of something they know that is maybe similar to get to that emotional level. Well, what do they draw off of that's similar to being conflicted about living in your own body?
Mm-hmm.
Where is your starting point for that? And I don't know the answers to those questions. And I think that's why a lot of times, and there are good trans actors out there. And I think that is why people are having a problem, is because there are good people out there. And so then it's about, well, are they a known entity? Are they a named person? Will they draw the viewers in? There's so much that goes into it. So I don't know that any of us know the right answer, but I know that each time it's done better. I mean, so Jeffrey Tambor is the star, but they have a lot of trans actors in that show.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of trans actors in the show, and that's good. That's good, I think.
I'm trying to recall the name of the trans actress who plays his next door neighbor in the show, who's so wonderful in it. And I'm going to keep searching as we continue to speak.
I can't. See, I'm not a TV watcher, and so when I do those things, I do them on Netflix or Amazon, and I watch them all in 2 weeks and then promptly forget it all.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to say that the best portrayals are done by the most experienced. And I'm sorry, it's Alexandra Billings. That's the name of the trans actor that plays the person who lives next door and is friends with the Jeffrey Tambor's character in the show. It's terrific actress. What I was going to say was it's usually the best straight non-trans actors who are the most skilled, who handle these roles so well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jeffrey Tambor, an Emmy Award winning actor, just a beautiful, nuanced, subtle performance in the show where I loved him. I hated the kids, but I loved him. I think it's family. his whole family is like just geared to be so selfish that I don't know. It's almost like they eclipse anything he's going through. And then you have somebody as wonderful as Felicity Huffman, who gives this incredibly brilliant, subtle, and in addition to that, technical performance. It has to be technical, in my opinion, because.
Well, and I'm glad that they have the people that are what do you call it? Guiding the show. They're giving input, consulting on the trans people that are consulting with them. Mm-hmm. Because I think if you don't, you get the story wrong. You know? I mean, Jeffrey Tambor could be a world-class actor, but if he isn't getting the story from someone correctly, he can't portray it correctly, right?
The writers, yes.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be...
Writers like Sean, and I keep telling him this, some of the most important people in the world in the entertainment industry are your screenwriters and such. Mm-hmm. And Sean has got to come to grips with that, where he begins to realize just how absolutely wonderful a writer he is. And because he's on his way. He's in different phases of his life and his career now. But I look to the day when he will be a shining star, you know.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. I already think you're a shining star.
Oh, thank you, Donny.
A shiny star or a shining star?
Shining.
Oh, God.
Thank you, dear. Couldn't leave that one alone, could you, Mike?
He thinks he's so hilarious just because no one can hear him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying Mike's my buddy. And, as far as anything else, is there anything else that you guys don't get, especially because I specialize with kids? A lot of times people get, really nutted up because we're talking about kids, and it makes them more than just a little bit crazy.
I think that the kids would be the ones that would know it more than anyone. The younger kids, and I'm not talking about 2 or 3, but, kids, I think they're so honest, unless they have been totally spoiled by their parents. They're so honest that they can look down. Let's say the little boy realizes he's a little girl and he's only 5 or so years old, and he's saying, there's something wrong. I have a pee-pee, and girls don't have pee-pees. They know these things. So I'm not taken aback when a very young person says, okay, here's what I am,
Well, and on that thought, what are some of the things that, for our listeners out there, that if they have children and they're young and they're starting to have these feelings of gender identity confusion, what's the best thing a parent can do?
Be chill. Sorry, I know that's like a very simplified answer, but it's a really true answer. Don't think too much into it. Don't try to control it. Don't worry about it. Don't try to change it. Just go with it. Don't try to figure out what it means. Just go with the flow. Because if you just go with the flow and it is something, it will reveal itself to you without you having conniptions along the way. You don't need to overthink it. Kids do go through phases. Kids do make up stories and those kinds of things. And, let your kid know that whatever they're doing, it's okay. It's fine. Girls can do this, boys can do that. They can change, they can do different things. Stick up for your kid if they're being bullied, but don't attach a huge significance to every little thing that your child does gender-wise or sexuality-wise. It's one possibility in a million. and allow for the possibility to be supported, and that your kid is probably not one of those kids. But in the event that they are, keep that door open and make sure your kid knows the door is open. Make sure your kid knows. Lead by example. My kids all knew that they would be accepted no matter who they were. And guess what? None of them turned out what I wanted them to be. They turned out to be them, which is awesome. And I'm glad for that. That's the way all kids should turn out, is just to be themselves. Whatever makes them happy, not what makes their parents happy. And I think if we just allowed for our world to be rainbow ready, these questions wouldn't be so important. But I'll tell you, there's a family that I know of that did a media piece, and the comments were just absolutely horrendous. And, whenever I work with a family or I'm consulted by a family, I always tell them, first rule of doing media is never, ever, ever read the comments. Never. Don't even peek. Because as calm as we are having this conversation here, the things that are said on those comments after a family does a media piece are just beyond comprehension. Your child should have been aborted as a fetus and circled the drain in the doctor's office.
Boy.
Yeah, that's when I got, they're just unconscionable, horrific kinds of things. And then, of course, you're accused of being the crazy, that you're doing this to your child. Your child must have been sexually molested. You are a horrible parent. You're this, you're that, you're all kinds of, you're in it for the money. You're in it for the fame. I don't know. I've been in it a long time. I never got famous. Well, I got sort of famous. I never got rich, I never got showered with gifts or any of those kinds of things. I got a lot of hard work for very little to no money and a little bit of notoriety, whoop-de-doo, which I really didn't want in the first place. But it's people just need to allow, like I said, for their kids to be whoever it is they're going to be and stop worrying about it so much. Your kid will figure out if they like their penis or not. Your kid will figure out if they like their vagina or not. Your kid will figure out if they like their body or not, if their gender identity or not. They'll figure it all out. Leave them alone. They're very smart people.
I agree. The individual soul. Yep.
Just quit messing with them.
They have to figure it out themselves. We all do.
Because, the tighter you make that box in the beginning, the worse it's going to be for your child in the long run. Because those boxes are just way too constricting.
Yeah. Freedom. Oh, boy.
We as gay people are not immune to the comments that you talk about. And I have the same philosophy. Sometimes I just tell myself, just don't. My husband won't read comments at all but I'll occasionally, I'll peek every once in a while. And Donny, I know that you have people who have made really, really nasty comments to you when you run your videos too. And we get it.
Yeah. It's just, it's unthinkable to me that human beings can talk that way about other human beings. But the more unthinkable is that adults can think that way and talk that way about children.
Yeah.
To me, that's just the absolute most unconscionable part of it that there is. And like I have had to say to teachers, I've been at schools where the teachers are like, well, I'm against this. And I said, well, look, okay, here's the deal. You don't have to agree with it. And you can think and believe whatever you want to think and believe. And if you indeed believe that those parents have caused their child to be this way, let me ask you, when another child in your classroom has parents that you don't approve of, do you punish the child? Or do you give the child a little extra help, a little extra attention? Are you a little nicer to the child that you think has terrible parents? Okay, so you think this one has terrible parents. Be nice to the kid already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what,
You know, anything to put it in some sort of perspective that they can wrap their brain around it enough to not be cruel.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I think when horrible people are saying these things about children. You know what? Come for me if you want to. I'm a 50-year-old man. I can
Yeah.
bring it. You know, bring your shit and I'll give it right back to you if that's what you want to do. But you know what? Leave these children alone. They are oftentimes defenseless. They are confused. And when we put children in a position to where all they can do is just try to survive,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of a world are we? What kind of adults are we exhibiting ourselves as a whole?
Well, you know, I once had a parent that I was talking to, and I said, this was a mom, and she just wasn't getting it, where her kid was and how critical it was. This was a child that was definitely thinking of taking their own life, and pretty seriously. And I said to the mother, I said, do you want an alive son or a dead daughter?
Uh-huh.
And there was a long silence, and she said, dead daughter.
Oh my God.
Oh,
my God.
And that's how I was. I was, oh my God. I didn't, you know, it's like, I never dreamed a mother would say that. I had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I had nowhere to go. The tears just started streaming down my face. I'm talking on the phone, and I said, you know what? I'm going to have to go now. I hope you'll think about this. And I hung up the phone because I just couldn't maintain any sort of control that woman wanted her child to die.
Yeah.
And it was just like, really? And, you know, and I've had these kids tell me, you know, my parents love God more than they love me. And that just, it breaks my heart. We're doing something horribly, horribly wrong in our society. We really are. We're not getting it right. We need to step up our game.
you know, we have a lot of younger people who listen to our show. A lot of people from all over the United States and actually all over the world.
Yeah.
And we have transgendered kids who listen to our show. If they are in that situation, what would you like to say to them? What is your advice to them?
Oh, my goodness. Thanks a lot. That was a really easy question.
Yeah.
She says with all the sarcasm she can muster.
I'm known for my easy questions.
Yeah. No, you know, I know because I tell young people this frequently, that it's hard to believe. And even if you're not a transgender person, you can have an ugly family. You can have a really ugly family. And somewhere you need to find the strength within yourself, attach yourself to people who get you somewhere, teachers, friends, parents, anybody you can to keep yourself afloat, because eventually you can start building your own family. Yeah. And you can build a family that loves you, and you can build a family that's good for you and healthy for you. And you don't have to rely on the family that you were born into, that obviously doesn't get you and can't nurture you and can't help you. And, you know, even with my family and Sean's coming out, I mean, I already had issues in my family. And then Sean's coming out just, you know, put a matchstick to it. And I really haven't talked to my mother much in the last 9 years. And we knew that was going to be a problem. We knew it was going to be that way because she, generally speaking, is not accommodating about much in the way of difference in what we all do and say and how we do it and expectations and boxes and stuff, right? You know, and so, you know, I have other people who are my mother now.
Yeah. This is a great example, Kim, for those in the gay community, because many of us in the gay community will be saying to, say, one of our relatives or something or other, that our gay family, we have as well, if you've been out of the closet long enough, you do accumulate a family of
absolutely.
people that are not your blood relatives, and they'll say, how can that be? And it can be because they are acting more like real family than your real family is.
Your real family. They're taking better care of you. Yes. Well, and here's the thing, like now I've sort of hung up my hat as a national traveling, advocacy tour person, because I'm getting older, believe it or not. And it's kind of hard to keep at that pace, on your body. But what I do, and you can ask my kids about this, they'll tell you, is I have a lot of kids. I have a lot of trans kids. They're starting to call me a magnet mom.
Yeah.
I always have someone living with me that I did not birth. Mm-hmm. And this is not a new phenomenon. Ever since I've had children, I've always had other people's children that live with me. I'm their mom. They call me mom. They call my husband dad. And we have one young trans man living with us now who still hasn't come out to his parents and doesn't know how to, and, is afraid and all kinds of things. And so he lives here. And before that, we had another kid, and it's just who we are. And that's my contribution at this point in time is I'm kind of one kid at a time, one parent at a time, one family at a time. And, if those kids wanted to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, if they could reach out to me, I would talk to them and, try to hook them up to some services if they needed it. But there is hope. Just maintain hope. And any way that you can do that, reach out to someone who gives you hope. Find a person, because usually if you can find just one person, it's enough to get you by till you're old enough to make some more drastic changes in your life.
I've always tried to, in my acquaintances in life, if a person is very negative and you find this out fairly soon, I just say, well, okay, it's nice meeting this person. I don't want him in my life anymore. I don't like negativity like that. Mm-hmm. And so we have to gird our loins, so to speak, and be able to say that he may be or she may be a very nice person, but they're assholes, and just say, I don't need you in my life. And that way we are able to keep a rather positive thought going rather than the negative.
There is a series of books that are written by an author named Armistead Maupin. They're called the Tales of the City series. Mm-hmm. They were also made into some movies as well. And one of the characters is a trans character. Her name is Mrs. Madrigal, and she's very prevalent throughout the whole series.
Cool.
And she is a landlady in San Francisco who takes in all of these. She calls them her children. Into apartment complex, and it starts in the 70s and goes through the last book was like very, very current and modern. But one of the quotes that she says is that we all have two families. We have our biological family and we have our logical family.
Logical.
Yes. The one that makes the most sense for us to have. And I really like what you had to say, because in my opinion, you are describing, when you're saying find somebody, you're describing what I referred to in my childhood as my angels on earth. There were a few people who
exactly right.
I knew who I could go to, who inherently knew I was gay and were okay with it. Mm-hmm. And I would say that as well. And I think Donny would agree with this as well, because Donny is a survivor of bullying and all kinds of bullshit that he went through as well. And just, if you could find those people and just survive, because your life is going to be wonderful soon. And those people that treated you like crap in the beginning, they're going to need you later on in life. And I hate to say this, but you're not going to want to be there for them, and they're going to feel the wrath. And that's not nice. And maybe it's I should turn the other cheek, but I'm sorry. My cheeks have been burned. My cheeks have been sunburned too much. So,
Yeah.
but Donny is really the person who, in the trio of us, has really dealt with this as a modern person right now. Wouldn't you say so, Donny?
Yeah, I would say so. One thing that I have learned over the past few years, overcoming bullying and, suicide attempts and thoughts and everything like that, is we always expect the homophobic or transphobic people to change, but sometimes we need to make a change, not in ourselves, but with who we surround ourselves with. Like sometimes while we grow accustomed to all of this negativity around us, sometimes we have to make that leap of faith and remove those people and surround us with people who encourage us and understand us, or at least make an attempt to understand us.
And be willing as you go along that way to realize, as you're looking for that strength from others, that there will be many times when you find someone and you say, oh, this person is going to be just wonderful. I'll be able to grow and help myself as a friend. And it turns out that they knife you in the back. And you're going to go through those type of things too. Even being knifed in the back by people you thought were supposedly all for you.
I think that it's important to remember that there are, toxic people in the world. And like Donny was saying is, look who's around you.
Mm-hmm.
And think about it. I thought because my mother was my children's grandparents, that I had to include her in my life and in their life. And my children are the ones who told me no. They said, no, don't do that for us. It's not worth it.
Hey, good for them. So we learned from the young, yes.
Yeah, I seriously, I think the world would be a whole lot better off if they would listen to young people more, children especially under the age of 10. I mean, have conversations with them and listen to what they have to say about things, because they're much clearer on a lot of this than we are. Little kids, when you explain trans to little kids, or should I say when I explain trans to little kids, they get it in about 3 minutes. They have no problem with it. Life goes on and they're like, cool, can we go play tetherball? They don't. Does anybody even play tetherball anymore? But they do. They don't. It's not a big deal to them. It's a big deal to adults. All of this is a big deal to these people that believe in all of these rules. And it's like, who made all the rules? Who's in charge of enforcing all this crap? It must be exhausting to be one of them.
Well, we've often said on the show that it is it's Donny's generation who is, and this is in association with us as gay men, but it's really Donny's generation that doesn't really care as much about people. I mean, and I know you have your people in your generation, Donny, who still care, but they're the ones who are going to advance us into, this is really not such a big deal, and there are other things to worry about and deal with. Mm-hmm. So,
the scary thing about my generation, and I'm just speaking in regard to the context of the gay community, gay men specifically, is that we still cling to a lot of gender stereotypes. And I know that has been kind of a central thread that we have been hitting on throughout the entirety of this show, because in many of the relationships that I've been in or that I've seen other people experience in the gay community, there are a lot of situations where we try to conform to gender stereotypes, and that creates a lot of contention, a lot of bullying, even within relationships. And I think in order to resolve it, it just needs to be discussed, and we still kind of are afraid of discussing it. But how can we resolve problems without addressing them, at least?
As I've said many times on the show, political correctness is a total infringement upon the freedom of an individual to be who they are and all that they can or might be, whether it's an angel or an asshole. To hell with political correctness. That's my take on it.
That's good. It's good because I'm not very good at it.
No, you aren't, and neither am I.
He does say that a lot, Kim. He says that at least once per show.
I'm really not good at it, and it has been pointed out to me on a number of occasions. People say, "Well, you know, it really probably would have been better if you hadn't said that." I'm like, "Really? Is it not true?"
Yeah, exactly. We have to be who we are.
Yeah.
And if we have the freedom to be who we are, then we got to get rid of that PC crap. Because if we are actually who we are, we could be an angel. Yeah, we could be. Or we could be an asshole. Could be. But it'll all come out in the wash. You know, we'll know. And everyone around us will know whether their friend is an angel or an asshole.
Well, that pendulum does swing the other way too. When you're saying no political correctness, it swings out of favor of what we believe as well. So if we're going to put that out there, we have to be able to deal with whatever's coming back. And I think that's what you're saying is that that's what opens up the lines of communication.
Yeah.
So we can't be babies about that.
No. You got to take and give. Yep.
Yes.
Take, right.
Exactly. So
and you could be if you get pinned to the mat. Well, once in a while we do, but we get up and keep going.
Yeah, and nowhere is this more evident, or no time is this more evident than now when we're in the middle of this hugely contentious election, which fortunately we're going to be bringing on a Democratic candidate for president who's a woman. So what an interesting night to have this whole conversation about sexuality and
gender stereotypes and expectations.
I know, exactly. So it's very timely as our first female presidential candidate has been, well, presumptive. Sorry.
Presumptive.
Yes, we have to say presumptive at this point. That's, I think, one of the buzzwords for 2016 is the presumptive candidate.
There's that little voice from beyond. I do want to, just because I have the opportunity to throw something out there, I want to. And I just want to say that I have been my Facebook presence has been a little extraordinary lately. I have a new puppy and I'm all about puppies right now. And part of that is because I have a new puppy. And part of it is because I can't stand to see what's going on with this, the whole bathroom issue over transgender people. Yeah. And I just want to say that I started in this in 2006. And some of what I'm seeing right now is every bit as bad as what I saw in 2006, if not worse. And it's a huge pushback that's been brought up by this HB2 in North Carolina and the states that are wanting to go in that direction, which our state of Arizona is one of them. And I think that even people who do not completely get transgender, if you get humanity and that people die around this, then please have a heart and stand up for people. Stand up for human beings being treated like human beings and defeat these kinds of measures. They're inhumane. They're horrible. They're inhumane.
I agree.
And I'll get off my soapbox now. Had to go there. Had to go there before I was out of time.
I totally agree. We're living in a bubble, oil and trouble type of time right now, especially with regard to the trans, because it's in this first decade of knowledge about the trans that we're getting there. We're getting there. How long we got?
1 minute.
Oh,
So
my.
talk fast.
Kim, thank you so much for being our guest. And
Anytime.
good to have you back.
I love hanging out with the boys.
Yeah, well, the girls too, you know. and folks, thanks for listening and tuning in other people into the show also, because it is growing, and I can tell it because of the comments and such. So thank you so much for being. Okay, folks, love God and do what you please, St. Augustine said. Now, if that is true, you don't need any minister, you don't need any books of guidance, you don't need anyone to tell you how to live your life, because if you love your Creator, you know your Creator loves you, and you'll know what to do and what is correct and what is incorrect. So, folks, we say good night, Sean, good night, Donny, and a special good night to you, Kim, and good night, Spider-Man.